Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on KPAX, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, I'm Dennis Bragg. Jill Valley and Don Fisher are off tonight. Frenchtown High School Superintendent Randy Klein face a new complaint over the alleged inappropriate sexual behavior of Frenchtown music teacher Troy Basher. Documents filed in federal court claim that since 2014, multiple female students have reported uncomfortable and harassing behavior by Basher, and that the school and Klein failed to take action of these accusations. A student is also asking for a jury trial. Court documents filed by Jane Doe and her parents state that the school district and Klein, quote, chose to ignore the reports of Mr. Basher's predatory behavior and failed to take any measures to protect female students at Frenchtown High School from harm. The complaint further states that, quote, as a direct result of these failures, Basher sexually harassed and assaulted Doe, close quote. The student says she faced harassment, bullying, and threats by other Frenchtown students and staff loyal to Mr. Basher, and months of bullying and retaliation forced Doe to leave Frenchtown School District and has resulted in ongoing mental and emotional distress. Klein said in March he's satisfied with the school's internal investigation that they conducted regarding both complaints, but Missoula County's investigation found enough information to charge Basher in Missoula County Justice Court. MTN reached out to the school's attorney, but the attorney hasn't had a chance to review the case. Frenchtown High School and Randy Klein have 21 days to respond to the court summons. If found guilty in the criminal case, Basher faces 6 months in jail and/or a $500 fine. His next court appearance is coming up next month. The sentencing of a former Florence doctor convicted on more than 20 counts, including negligent homicide, is being postponed for several weeks. A Ravalli County District Court jury convicted Dr. Chris Christensen after a trial that lasted for more than a month in a Hamilton courtroom in November. Christensen was found guilty of nearly all charges, including overprescribing and misprescribing prescription drugs and the death of 2 patients. The charges stem from a raid on Christensen's clinic in Florence nearly 4 years ago. Christensen faces penalties that total more than 400 years in jail, as well as fines that could go as high as $50,000. Christensen had originally been scheduled for sentencing Wednesday, but that date has now been reset for January. Now the Ravalli County Attorney's Office tells us sentencing might not happen until February, with a new date still to be scheduled. Given the complexity of the case and the holidays, it's not unexpected it would take longer to complete pre-sentence reports for Christensen and before he's brought back to court to learn his ultimate fate. The man accused of operating a prostitution ring in Missoula and Billings involving teens is arraigned today on new charges. 35-year-old Terrence Edwards pled not guilty in U.S. District Court in Billings to a new 11-count indictment accusing him of promoting prostitution. Prosecutors say Edwards trafficked at least 6 victims, including 3 minors. The victims told investigators Edwards would abuse them if they didn't go along with his scheme. One woman said Edwards forced her to walk the streets of Salt Lake City until she had sex with as many as 20 customers in one night. Prosecutors say other crimes took place in Utah and Washington over a 1-year period. Edwards is being held in the Yellowstone County Jail. New tonight, emergency crews are still on the scene of a fatal accident which snarled traffic on Highway 93 in Lake County this afternoon. Montana Highway Patrol says the crash, which is believed to have been a head-on, happened just before 3 o'clock this afternoon near Ravalli. The Montana Department of Transportation reported the crash was at the intersection of US 93 and North Valley Road, which is at the south end of the S-curves coming into Ravalli. It took more than an hour to reopen one lane of traffic around the accident scene, and the last word we had is the traffic is still backed up considerably in that area north of Arlee. We'll have more details as they become available. Turning now to weather, more snow in the forecast for later this week. For more on what to expect, let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Aaron Yost in the Storm Tracker Weather Center. Aaron?
Yeah, today was our break. Today was our lull. Hopefully you got a chance to get out there and enjoy that aspect of things, because we're going to be using those shovels, using those snow plows a bit more regularly here over the next several days. Hamilton earlier this afternoon, First Security Bank ICAM. Of course, many of us dealing with some cloud cover out there today. Not on the precipitation quite yet. That'll be moving in throughout the day tomorrow. A couple of inches will be possible on Thursday. Northwest and west central Montana, we're looking at a heavier bout of snow. Friday and Saturday, that's going to be a big push that'll really impact area mountains. I've got all the details coming up shortly.
Thank you, Aaron. In other news tonight, Kalispell leaders know it's going to take cash to carry out their plans for revitalizing downtown and that's why they've included a provision for a tax increment financing district, or TIF, in that 57-page plan. A TIF district is a tool that allows cities to use increased tax value where it's being taken from. It's used in many places in Montana to spur economic growth, especially in Missoula. A TIF district builds tax revenue on buildings due to new development, and with the increase in those taxes going directly back into paying for additional projects in the district rather than taxes going out to the general fund for things like cities and schools operations. A TIF in downtown Kalispell would be used to pay for a lot of the projects that are in the plan. Just some of those that planners hope to use Kalispell TIF District 4 include improved infrastructure, public parking, business grants, demolition of old buildings, preserving historic downtown buildings, and new parks. Kalispell is already using a TIF district in the core area to help relocate Cenex, Northwest Drywall and Roofing Company, and build the new pedestrian trail. City Planning and Building Director Tom Gent says the results aren't immediate, but over time the TIF approach has worked well in Montana towns.
Local communities in Montana have used it for incredibly positive results. It takes a while to build this funding tool, but council supports these types of things. It's a local tool helping local businesses.
Another aspect of the plan is the future of Main Street. It's still designated as Highway 93, even with completion of the bypass, and the Montana Department of Transportation wants to keep it that way. However, there are local concerns about traffic. During public comment periods before the plan was passed, it became clear to City Council traffic volume and commercial trucks were a concern, and many local residents and businesses want Main Street treated as more of a street rather than a highway. Currently, to get traffic through downtown, MDT has 4 driving lanes, 2 parallel parking lanes, narrow sidewalks, and no left turns in order to ease traffic flow. In a new downtown in the plan, the newly designed Main Street would have the sidewalks widened by an additional 6 feet, only 1 lane of traffic in each direction with 1 turn lane in the middle, and expanded parking lanes. Some might think cutting lanes would make downtown more congested, but Jen says it isn't about reducing traffic, but accommodating those who actually want to spend time downtown.
We don't want more traffic. We don't want less traffic. We want the right traffic. We want people who want to be in the Main Street in our downtown area. We want them to have an opportunity to come through and be part of the downtown, as opposed to just being a highway where we're just pushing people through as fast as they can go. That's not the dream that we have for our downtown. That's not our vision.
Jens adds that all details in the 57-page document are simply a vision or template for what people to see what they like or dislike. None of the plan is set in stone or has any set dates to physically change any part of downtown Kalispell. Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks hosting public comment periods to gather input for hunters on season dates and rules for the next 2 years. There's going to be meetings held across the entire state, 4 public meetings in January, specifically for Region 1. One of the proposals there in northwest Montana is a citizen initiative seeking a new limited draw for mule deer bucks in a section of the Fisher River in Hunting District 103 near Libby. If approved, the draw permits will be limited to about 5 to 15 per year. State biologists say the proposal would reduce opportunity for hunters and most likely not grow the mule deer population. But the citizen proposal is aiming at increasing the age and size of the bucks before they're hunted. Public meetings for Region 1 will take place in Kalispell, Trout Creek, Libby, and Eureka. We'll post a list of those meeting dates, times, and locations on our website. In October, members of the Montana Air National Guard traveled to Puerto Rico to help with hurricane relief efforts. MTN's Margaret DeMarco shares the experiences of some of the airmen who made that helpful trip.
I joined the military to travel and help out others.
26 members of the 219th Red Horse recently volunteered to travel to Puerto Rico to help those affected by Hurricane Maria.
We saw a lot of infrastructure, pretty ruined, kind of just a lot of debris, signs, everything on the streets, houses destroyed.
The heavy construction specialists operated on a Puerto Rican Guard base near San Juan.
They had very limited sleeping arrangements. I know when we first got down there, we were sleeping out of a dugout or in the breezeway of a baseball field.
The airmen set up a disaster relief bed down for emergency responders helping those in need on the island.
We set up tents and set up water and laundry and bathroom facilities for the other branches of military to aid in Puerto Rico.
Before the airmen arrived, a lot of the first responders were unable to do basic things like take a shower or wash their clothes.
My favorite part was seeing how happy somebody could be for getting a washing machine. I mean, it was quite interesting. I've never seen so many people so excited to do laundry. So that was kind of cool.
Helping in Puerto Rico was the first humanitarian mission for most of these airmen. And all of them said they would go back in a heartbeat.
I saw a lot of devastation, but I also saw a lot of hope. that was probably the most rewarding thing to see.
In Great Falls, Margaret DeMarco, NTN News.
The airmen were in Puerto Rico for 3.5 weeks on that mission. Still ahead, kindergartners will be learning more social skills thanks to a one class at a time grant. And in our Montana Made series, meet a man who works with chisels and chainsaws to sculpt figurines out of ice. That story coming up on NTN.